Hello friends, and welcome to tonight's review. If you may not have noticed, tonight's review is a little bit different because tonight I'm going to be reviewing whiskey, which I haven't done in a while. Which is true. I noticed that I haven't reviewed my favorite bourbon, namely Buffalo Trace, which is a Kentucky straight bourbon at 95% ABV, 45% ABV, which is 90 proof. Oh, you're probably wondering about the stuff on my face. Well, let's just say my layoff going away party got a little bit wild. There was a face painter nearby for an event with small children, and one of my coworkers dared me to go and get my face painted to look like a Maori warrior. He paid the person who was very interested in doing something that was not a tiger or a butterfly, and lo and behold, you can see me now. Yes. I've already drank quite a bit tonight, but that's okay, because I've drank so much Buffalo Trace, I can say that you ain't going to get better than Buffalo Trace when it comes to quality bourbon at a good price point. I hear on the mainland that you can get a bottle of Buffalo Trace for about $20. It's probably gone up since I've read that because of the popularity of Buffalo Trace. But nevertheless, Buffalo Trace, you get top shelf quality with a medium to low shelf price point. And what I mean by top shelf quality is, well, first let's look at the color here. You got a nice copper amber color, but just the complexity of Buffalo Trace sort of just blows the mind away. So let's go and look at the nose here, and I never get tired of nosing Buffalo Trace. First off, what hits you is that this is a high rye percentage to the mash bill with this. You can tell that there's a high rye percentage to the mash bill because there is a minty, peppery note to it that's underneath it. Yet, the primary note is still of bourbon, corn, and sweetness. So, despite the stronger rye mash bill, there's still that corn element, and there's this amazing amount of interplay in between that dry, mentholy pepperiness and that sweet corniness. And it just comes out so well. So, besides the oak, and this you can smell the vanilla of the oakiness in it, and the oakiness also plays a great role. Sorry. Like I said, I've had a lot to drink already. You see the three coming together, and it's almost like I would say what a s'more would be like if you remove the chocolate. In that you have the cinnamon, spicy cinnamon, on top of the sort of honeyed graham cracker, which also combines with a sort of mellow roundness of the vanilla tannins in the oak to create this nice marshmallowiness, I suppose is the best way to put it. And yet, when you sniff it again, there's also strong citrus notes that are beneath that sweet corn. So you can just kind of sniff it and something new will always pop up at you. Mint, honey, spice. The interplay is just amazing. And that's why Buffalo Trace, I think, is really amazing. So, on to tasting, yeah? So, amazingly smooth. I like to call this stuff mother's milk just because it goes down so smooth. I say that the finish is rather dominated by the rye part of the mash bill, in that there is that mintiness on the tongue. Yet there's still elements that remind you that this is a bourbon because of the sweetness. The mid palate is where the pepperiness shows up the strongness, and it kind of lingers after the mid palate, but doesn't linger as long as its sort of menthol part on the tongue. Yeah. It's just really hard to suss out this, especially when you had a few like myself. Yeah. So this is probably not going to be the best review of Buffalo Trace, but I can pretty much guarantee, bar none, this is probably going to be one of the most unique reviews of Buffalo Trace. How many Buffalo Trace reviews have you done with Maori face paint on? Front, there's that hint of the original mash. It's very bready, yet still kind of hints of spice at the same time. And in the front is where these sort of fruity and citrusy notes sort of dominate. And it's not just pure citrus fruits there. There's also touches of apple. It really feels like apple cider on the tongue for just a brief moment there. So I have to say at this point that the lingering finish is strongly after the, underneath that sort of that frisange of menthol and pepper is sort of the oakiness that sort of has a strong underlying portion to it. That my words are kind of blasted at this point. Suffice to say, Buffalo Trace is really good. It's really good straight. It's really good on the rocks. It's really good as a cocktail. Can't go wrong with Buffalo Trace. But one thing, Buffalo Trace is all sold out. Until the next vintage comes out of the barrels, there's nothing more being bottled until I believe this autumn. And so, right now, the bottle shop is completely out of Buffalo Trace, as well as all the other high-end liquor stores. I found this particular bottle of Buffalo Trace in an out-of-the-way Safeway, of all places. There was 2 bottles left. So, they're probably a little bit overpriced in grocery stores, too. You're going to be paying an extra $5 or so for the price of it. But Buffalo Trace is probably the premier bourbon brewery of this decade, and I really suggest, and it behooves you as a liquor drinker, to try Buffalo Trace. It is, like I said, top shelf quality at a mid-shelf price point. So, Buffalo Trace Bourbon. Hard to find at the moment. More will come. But an absolute must-have towards your liquor shelf. Well, folks, this has been your whiskey review with the Maori face paint. And And so I end this review with a cheers and a good health to you, and I hope this stuff kind of washes off pretty easily. Otherwise, the next couple days are going to be a little bit awkward. Night, folks.